adversity, stories that inspire hope, healing, and empowerment. Every episode brings raw, unfiltered conversations with individuals who have risen from hardship, embracing faith, strength, and purpose. Join us as we break the silence, uplift one another, and emerge stronger together. New episodes air Wednesdays at 6 p.m. English and Saturdays at 6 p.m., with select Saturdays in Creole for our Haitian audience.
Hey everyone, welcome to Emerge and Empower with your host, Dr. Lynn J. Yes, it's Dr. Lynn J here as we continue on this journey of healing. All right, Emerge and Empower is here a platform for individuals to come on and share your stories, right? You all hear me say it a lot. Get on the front row seat of your life. Be the one that is in the driver's seat instead of having somebody else drive, all right? So this is a continued segment where individuals come on and do just that, share their stories of their emergence. Now, when we talk about life, there is life after trauma, it means there are so many variables to trauma. And if you've been watching this podcast long enough, you see it range from childhood, marriage, grief, a relationship, you name it, because there are parts of our life where something traumatic has happened that has altered our way forward, or in a sense, come to hinder us. But each of these individuals that come on still come on and say, you know what? I have overcome. I have gone beyond my past. I've gone beyond some of the pains. I've gone beyond some of the hardships or the things that they have experienced. And they come back on here to say, here's where I was. A lot of people didn't know this. I didn't realize this. But what I realized is one day I got up and I realized, you know what? I need to get up from this place. I need to break down these barriers. And the first step that I need to do is to talk, speak about it, and stop keeping it bottled all inside. So each person that come in got to a point where they first talked about it. They seek help. All right. And now they're back here on this set and telling you, I've turned my tests into a testimony, and I've turned my pain into purpose. And guess what? I am still healing. I am still learning. And I'm learning as I'm helping other individuals. I too am learning, meaning there is life after trauma. This is why Emerge and Empower is here for you to know, even what you are going through right now, there is more after this. There is greater after this. You might be crying right now, but joy, like the Bible say, cometh in the morning. So I want to encourage you, don't stay alone. Don't do this alone. All right. This is not one of those times for you to say it alone, do it by myself. I don't need nobody. Yes, you need someone. You need someone to hold your hand. You need someone to listen, as you unload, as you talk. Maybe you can't afford, that coach or that mental health person. There's someone at your church, there's someone that you can confide in and you can stand. And remember, there are also virtual platforms where you don't even have to leave. Your home, your car, wherever you want to sit down and chat with someone, that is the first step and talking. So those who have come on here are talking. They're taking you through. They're giving a testimony of what they experience and where they are now. And I love it. They're on the other side of it. It is something that is beautiful. All right. So we will be having our guest that will be coming on shortly, as she will be sharing the story of her emergence. And she will let you know that, yes, I have emerged. I am she. So stay tuned. All right, everyone. So we are back. We are back. And I have none other than the beautiful Ashtyn that is with us on the set on today. Welcome, Ashtyn, to Emerge and Empower. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm feeling good about being here and having this conversation today with you and inspiring souls that may be in quite challenging experiences even right now,
Yes.
and to really showcase how with time passing and investment in our own process, we can
Yes,
be in very, very different places than we expected when we're deep in the
indeed.
process.
Indeed. And thank you once again for saying, yes, I would like to be a part. I too have a story to tell. Now, Ashtyn is not only here with the interview with us, but look out for the She Emergence Virtual Conference. Watch the segments and you would see her there as well. So, Ashtyn, once again, I say welcome, welcome to this platform where individuals continually come on to share what they have emerged from. And when I look at you in our pre interview, you indeed can say, I am she. I am she emergence. I have emerged. So we're going to just dive right into your story, Ashtyn. If there's any hellos, any shout outs you would like to do to anyone that is watching to let them know that you connected here, go ahead and do so at this time.
I think I'm feeling just really ready to jump right into the storytelling if you're good with that.
I am surely, yes, good with that. So we're going to dive in. Ashtyn, this is your story. Just take us to who is Ashtyn. And before we get into who you are today, let us just move into where it is that you have emerged from.
Hmm. So I was brought up in quite a dysfunctional family system. My father was an alcoholic, had come from many generations of alcoholism before him.
Hmm.
My mom, she's very sweet, she's highly empathic, but she's quite disempowered. And so she found herself in a highly dysfunctional codependent relationship with an alcoholic.
Hmm.
And also because of being so empathic and sensitive, but maybe not having the tools to deal with what that means, she gets dysregulated pretty regularly and easily.
Mm.
This meant that she came into many circumstances where it overwhelmed her nervous system to the point where she would just leave her body and she
Wow.
would be catatonic. She's had several hospitalizations, and it's a very difficult experience to kind of look at your mom in the eyes and like mom's not there at all.
Right, right.
And then I also have an adopted brother. He's really my second cousin, once removed. So we're only 9 months apart. This also
Okay.
meant that we were in the same grade together. And as a
Wow.
sibling, that could be a great thing. That could also be a really tough thing. And for us,
Right.
it was typically a pretty tough thing. He also started in a really, really, really traumatic beginning of life. His dad went to jail, and his mom was just like, I'm gone. I'm leaving.
Wow. Wow.
Left
Wow.
him and his younger brother, who was even like really less than one at that point, in an
Hmm.
abandoned home, told no one. They could
Wow.
have died. So they found him feeding his younger brother Coca-Cola with a bottle at
Wow.
age 2.5. They were highly malnourished. And so my family wanted to keep them in the family.
Hmm. Hmm.
My parents could not take on financially two children. They could handle and manage one. So they
Right.
adopted my brother. But at the same time, both of my parents have a lot of their own early
Totally.
on trauma that they have not dealt with at all whatsoever. And here now, instead of me, who is highly independent and
Hmm.
relatively easy, now we have a child entering the home that's going to change the entire family dynamic to an
Wow.
extreme. So this became really, really challenging for the whole household. My dad, who wasn't really violent with me, became highly violent with my brother. And I
Wow.
was witness to that violence regularly. When I would call my mother for help, I wasn't going to get help. It was going to be like, I'm working, hang up the phone kind of a thing.
Hmm.
And I ended up becoming very quickly my brother's mom. So
Hmm.
being 9 months older than him wasn't really a thing. It was more like, this is a mother-son
Yeah.
relationship that we are in. And he was adopted when I was just about 4.
Okay.
So I became a mom pretty pretty early on in my
Yes.
family system. And I was also highly sensitive. I'm a highly sensitive human. I'm really, really intuitive. And so I was taking in that environment in a different way through how my system is built than maybe other people's system.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like carrying a load that was very unseen on top of all of the things that were just out in the open and dysfunctional.
Right.
I got really interested in relationships really early on. In 5th grade, one of my teachers recommended me for a peer mediator program. So I'm mentioning this because it's something that you could see within me. I was so enamored by relationships, and I really had such a caring, wanting to help kind of soul.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I started with my interest in relationships, it also ended up turning into an interest in psychology. I wanted to learn about dysfunctional families because I was living in a dysfunctional family, and I wanted to understand the mental health crises that I was witnessing every person in my family inside of, not just nuclear, but also extended.
Wow.
And so I got really interested in studying psychology. And I even asked my mom if I could start counseling when I was like 14 or 15 years old.
Okay.
And that really helped. It kind of helped me keep my head above water in many ways. But looking back, I also recognized that there were things that the counselors were not recognizing about me, that I also didn't have any kind of reflection in my family system or community to kind of be like, this is a highly sensitive human.
Right.
And so she's experiencing life through the lens of a highly sensitive human and is dealing with a highly dysfunctional family system.
Right.
So there were ways in which I was getting met, and there were also ways that I wasn't. When I was in college and I was working on my undergrad degree in psychology, I started having these memories. And I was like so confused. I was like, I don't understand where these memories are from. I don't know who these people are. Like, but it was really traumatic, like memories that I was having. And I didn't know it then. I know it now. I'm so empathic and intuitive that I was picking up on the ancestral memories.
Wow.
So they weren't my memories. They were the memories of people in my family system, and they were confirmed by other family members. Someone would tell me something, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the thing that I saw. That's the thing that I couldn't make sense. Why am I having this memory? And I can feel it's a memory, but it's like it's not my own. And so during that time, without having any idea that I was even intuitive, period, I'm thinking I'm losing my mind. Like something is really not okay here. And then later on, as I just started to emerge more into the truth of my own soul and come to recognize who and what I am and how I operate that might be different than other people around me, I was like, okay, wait a second. Like, you're really perceptive. Not everyone is feeling these things. Not everyone can actually feel into people's trauma and their blocks and where it started and what generation behind it started. Like, that's not a normal thing. And I thought, oh, well, I thought everyone could do that.
Right.
So I'm in my undergrad in psychology, and at the same time, I'm dating this guy that was my first kiss in 6th grade. And he ended up becoming my boyfriend in my senior year when I was 17. I had a kind of traumatic occurrence with my father. And fortunately, his mom let me move in. So I moved out of my house before I'd even graduated high school. And I'd been just wanting to leave there for as long as I could remember.
Right.
And so I thought, oh, this is wonderful. I'm getting to be, in this like healthier family system. She was so much like my mom. I knew him for so long. I grew up with their family. And then I realized, no, this was also a really highly dysfunctional family, just in a different way.
That's it.
So she had Munchausen's, which would mean that she was making herself sick. And she would do this for attention. So, at some point, many years later, I was with him from essentially 17 to 27. We were engaged, and his younger brother, a middle brother, was also engaged. she throws herself down the steps. She breaks both her
Wow.
legs. And this is, I'm just giving an example to like
Right.
the kind of dynamic and the extreme
Extreme.
of it. Yeah. But it's similar to with my family system, just like when you grow up in an environment, you might not be able to see,
Right.
like an outsider would, the dysfunction that's living inside of the environment.
Exactly.
And we grew up together. I was thinking, no, this is totally normal. Like she wouldn't fake an illness. I
Right.
did realize that after we had broken up that had been going on the entire time.
Wow.
So we're engaged and have a venue, got the ring, things are moving along. And my intuition just kind of starts really kicking up. Like it was really one of these moments where it's like, Ashtyn, life is not going to let you go down this road because you would be so far off your path. Not allow this woman to go off her path this much.
Right.
And so I was feeling things like my grandmother's presence who had passed. And I'm like, oh, I'm feeling my grandma like a lot.
Right.
And then songs started really speaking to me in a different way where it was like catching my attention in a really profound way. So I end up having this moment. I'm sitting on my bed. I was in this relationship with this person who I didn't know until we had broken up, even 7 months after we had broken up. Wait a second. This was definitely narcissistic abuse that I had been going through this whole time.
Right.
Before we had actually officially broken up, I'm writing down all of the many moments in that day where he had treated me like I was invisible. Because I'm thinking, if I just show this man because he loves me, like that this is the thing, he's going to want to change it, but that is not how it works in
That's not how it works.
Relationship.
No.
So I have my phone and I'm writing out all the moments that this has happened. It happens again. I'm literally asking a question and he goes to answer the person next to me. Like I didn't ask the question.
Wow.
I go to write it on my phone. I go sit on my bed and I realize it's 2 p.m. and I can literally scroll and scroll and scroll. So it happens so many times that day and it's only 2 p.m. Suddenly I just feel this energy that's very stable and clean, like fresh air coming into my body and opening me up. And I could just like see. It was like, wait a second, like I'm so clear. I can see that he's been doing this and he's been doing this and he's doing this. Like, I don't need to convince anyone that this is happening. It just is. And so I have a conversation with him and I'm realizing that the techniques that he had been using were not working in that moment of clarity. I described that to people afterwards. I was like, I really don't know what this was. It felt like an angel had entered my body. And suddenly it was like I was set free in that moment and I could see through the illusion.
Right. That was your moment of truth, because here's what happened. We go into relationships and we see what we want to see. We hear what we want to hear. We still want to be loved. Remember, you came from a home that was, for you, dysfunctional, not realizing there was dysfunction on the side. That's why always people like to look at thinking the grass is green on the other side because they're not the ones on the other side to find out how, it's looking. So now you go into this relationship and this whole time, first of all, leaving home was the escape. That was the plan, right? But there was no really other plans after that. Now you're with this person thinking, okay, you know what? This was my get out card, right? And you wanted to hold on to that as much as you can. But here is the moment of truth. Now to be engaged and now to marry this person, you had to wake up. You had to go back and see what was happening. You sure you want to do this? So the moment of truth happened. You understand me? And of course, it's very enlightening. It's revelation because some people don't have this revelation until it's too late, right? You had it in the right time to make this decision and say, you know what, Ashtyn, this is not the path you want to take. And to see all of these things, right? Like you say, when the moment of breakup came is when you really identified and saw who this person was because you had to move away from the situation to look into the situation. And of course, it will be much clearer because now you're looking out of the box, out of the environment. You kind of remove. So therefore, a lot of things that people put on as blinders to block you so you can't see or understand, but now you're clear. You know exactly what you want. It's like people who meet someone and say, oh my God, I want to talk to this guy, and they're so into this person, but I've never actually took the step to tell the person they like them. But then later on, something happened. He was like, oh my God, what did I ever see into this person? I'm glad I didn't get to, talk to this person or pursue my thought. Like, what was I thinking? Moment. All right, you may continue.
Yeah, kind of dropping into what you had shared there.
Mhm.
I call those moments of deep truth, I have different frameworks for it, but this moment in particular was what I call reality collapse. It's actually when you're dropping so deep into truth that the
Yes.
illusion is now clear.
Yes.
And so I was certainly having that experience, and I have been very blessed by spontaneous activations. Like even when I was 11, I had my first vision. I didn't tell anyone about it. I couldn't explain it.
Right.
But the next day I woke up, and that is when I could see the dysfunction of my family.
Yeah.
And no moment before then could I see any of it.
Yes.
So I have been very blessed by these moments where truth enters the body, and suddenly I have a sense of clarity.
Yes.
But to also be clear that these are moments of opportunity. They're not guarantees. We have to choose. If we have awareness and truth come into our body, are we going to choose to stay where we are? Are we going to move in a different direction? So I was like, I have to leave this man, but I did the same thing that I had done so many times before. I will give him 30 days. We'll go to counseling. We'll do this, right? Like, trying to convince myself that this could continue on. And we had a long-term relationship. Like I knew him since I was a kid. This is like a deep-seated thing. And inevitably, of course, it ultimately all ended, and I still had to choose to leave. I had to pack a bug out bag. Like I had to go live somewhere else for a while and be like, you need to move out. This is my house. And so I took the steps. And then coming out of that relationship, for the first time in my life, like I really remember this day. I remember this moment. I had at some point gained a lot of weight being in this relationship. And then whenever we weren't near each other, I would just lose weight. It would just start coming. So ultimately I lost 100 pounds. And I had this moment where I was putting on a spaghetti shirt, and I would never wear spaghetti shirts. Even in summer, sometimes I would wear nothing but long sleeves because I was like, I don't like my arms. And he would talk about my arms a lot. So I got really insecure about my arms.
Right.
And I had this moment looking at myself in the mirror, and I was just like, you are such a beautiful woman. And I was saying it more like at this like soul level, not a surface level. Like you are just, I love you. Like I really love you. And I felt love within me.
Yes.
Like truly felt it. And that really made me realize, wait a second, that man never loved me. That was not love at all, because now I'm experiencing it, and that's not what he was providing.
Exactly.
So I started coming into the terrain of really loving myself. And also this was happening concurrently with coming out of 27 years of being gaslit. Because from my family dynamic, I went into this relationship directly. And so it had been 27 years at this point where I was really under a gaslit fog. Where other people around me were trying to tell me that I was something other than what I was.
What you are.
Yep. And so I was finally discovering my own essence, feeling it, embodying it. And it was like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Yes.
How can you not love this? And that's what I feel for all people when we really emerge into the truth of our essence. You're in awe.
Like what happened? Like
Yeah.
Everything that they said about you, and you come to that moment of truth, you realize lie, 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 all have been lies, and you just scratching them out. No, you said I'm ugly, but I'm beautiful. You said I'm nothing, but I'm somebody. And you come into all that truth, discovering yourself, falling in love with yourself, which is so liberating, so empowering. And guess what? You become so confident, because what happened was they stripped all your confidence away, that you had to rely on people's opinion on how you looked, how you felt, how you should feel, how you should talk, what you should eat, what you should wear. Believe it or not, we give so much power away.
Mhm.
Okay. So now that you've gotten that back, it's like, wow, you're on the other side of this and realize, wow, I was letting everything go, for someone that had so much control, and I was giving them the best part of me. You
Mhm.
see?
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And, I also recognize this as a pattern. And I want to mention this because someone might be listening and be like, here's this beautiful thing about me, just discovering it
Yes.
through a kind of contemplation here. I've recognized that narcissistic types and people who are really set out to disempower us, to manipulate us, to
Hmm.
control us, they find weak points, but oftentimes what they're doing is they're trying to weaken us in the places of our beauty, of
Yes.
our power, very
Yes.
specifically. And so when I look back on that relationship and other relationships, starting with childhood, the things that were targeted were the places of my mastery.
Yeah.
Like, you can't dance, you can't sing,
Hmm.
definitely anything having to do with my true self was just completely being stripped away.
Yes.
There was no you're intuitive. That was always like laughable.
Hmm.
There were like, oh, you can't dress yourself. I would decorate the house better than you. So let me just like say what this has become for me. My voice literally heals people. Dancing is something that I do when I'm dropping in to be deeply intuitive. And I get on client calls
Hmm.
and I haven't talked to this person ever in my life.
Right.
And I have so much information about what is going on with them and like root causes and themes
Right.
that's coming up in their life right now.
Hmm.
And dance specifically allows me to get into my body, which
Hmm.
allows me to drop deeper intuitively.
Okay.
So dance connects to this beautiful thing for
And
me.
this is a thing that you were told that you weren't good at.
Yeah, exactly. And then I create beautiful sanctuary like spaces. This doesn't
Hmm.
have to be just decorating my home, though I love doing
Right.
that, but it's also creating a space, creating an
Yes.
environment. I create environments where people literally flourish.
Yes.
Their like programming and conditioning starts to dissolve off, and
Hmm.
they really feel through my soul level ability to soul level attune their true essence, and they come alive. And that's creating a sanctuary and a safe space.
Yeah.
So again, there were so many places that were attacked that then as I discovered myself, I realized even if it wasn't a conventional way of dancing or singing, there was
Right.
something deeper inside of it that my soul was like, this is a part of the thing you're supposed to
Yeah.
offer to the world.
Hmm.
So those are things that I ultimately discovered after I left that relationship. And I
Wow.
don't see myself having
You
to
had a whole revelation.
yes, for sure. For sure. And, I was single for about 2.5 years or so. I had a thing with a friend that we've been friends for a really long time. It just kind of developed into something romantically that was unexpected. But really, I had been about 2.5 years. And really short forming this story, my dreams, again, my intuition kind of leading and showing me the way of
Uh-huh.
my soul, led me to a man. And I really didn't think anything of this person. It just was like a very magical kind of meeting. And
Hmm.
then ultimately, we ended up dating for quite some time. And he and I both started having these very interesting and very, very unexpected experiences when we were in each other's presence, where like
Hmm.
we could see the same or similar things through the unseen. And we're having all of these like even multi-lifetime like memories that are coming up, and we're remembering each other in these lives. And we're having these experiences separate of each other and coming back and being like, oh my gosh, I remember this thing. And then he'd be like, oh my gosh, I remember this part. And so it was like, you know, it's a very grounding experience to have, because this can certainly be like terrain that not everyone is going to necessarily understand or be able to meet you with them. But when you're in a relationship and it's happening with two people simultaneously, there's just something so true about it. And so there were a lot of things that were activating in both of us. And I would say that we were both having also these heart awakenings, like our hearts were just like, whew, going so wide. And the thing is like, that's very beautiful. I'm really appreciative for our meeting and what it activated inside of me. Like my soul remembrance and that man had so much to do with one another. Like me coming to who I truly am, which was very different than the prior relationship I had been in. However, when we have these kind of unexpected, what I'll call an awakening, and we have these kind of openings and our intuition goes way up and we're having heart openings as well, that's kind of like an upper body experience. And at some point, the energy, just like a pendulum, it drops back down. And in the down is the place that our body holds more of the trauma and the ancestral healing. And there's other layers there. And so because I had grown up in a dysfunctional family, I got really intrigued with psychology and relationships. And I had been in the down and I'd been in the dark. That really didn't bother me. I knew how to be with those things as they were coming up and out of my body. But my partner at the time had no point of reference for that. And so ultimately we ended up parting ways because he was not able to be with what was arising that wasn't just the grand and beautiful and intuitive and magical, but also is the other side of things that are.
Because you still had a lot of healing to go through as far as your childhood trauma.
Yeah. And I mean, I had literally started investing in healing this trauma when I was a child. So like there are layers and layers to this. And I recognize that, you know, I did sign up for a life where I'm really doing the ancestral healing. I'm talking not just my own personal life. I'm talking way back because people didn't address it way back. I'm here to truly zero it out, find the treasure, find the gold. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to leave that as the legacy. And so the depth that I do this kind of work is definitely unusual, which also means you have a lot of layers to navigate through.
There's a lot of layers in the healing. There's a lot of layers. And first, people must realize that we are spiritual beings, right? We are in our body. Our body is an encasement. We are spirit. So a lot of things that we have to tackle, they aren't in the physical aspect, right? People go to prayers, people go to different things because we need to become in tune. You have to bring yourself to that healing. You have to get rid of a lot of that generational things that have transferred in the bloodline. Somebody also have to say it stops with me. So in your case, you are defining that moment that this is not going to continue beyond me. So in order for that to happen, you unfortunately have to go back. You understand? And try to rectify some of these things moving forward so it doesn't continue. All right. So for some, you go into deep prayer, you go into fasting, you know, whatever it is that you need to go inner healing for, but the healing is not the physical aspect, right? It is spiritual. And once you've healed your soul, that's where you become who you are. You become joyous. You become, you know, wow, like night and day. Somebody who knew you 10 years ago and see you today is like, wow, this you are a whole different person. I almost didn't recognize you yet. You still look the same, still sound the same, but your soul, your spirit, the person you are is so much better, even more lovable, to the point, like even when people will say to me, girl, I love you. I say, you know why you love me? Because there was a time I did not love me. You're loving me because I love myself. And that is what is protruding from me. And you're receiving that. You understand? So in its entirety, okay, in order for cycles to stop or break, someone needs to make that decision in the bloodline, in the lineage, and say, we need to cut some of these things off. We need to recognize some things in order to move forward, or not, it's going to continue as a continuous cycle.
hmm And I genuinely remember making those commitments to myself to break that cycle when I was in
Mhm.
elementary school.
Yes.
So I was here to do it, you know, and
Yes.
and and I'm living through all of what that really genuinely means to do it.
Yes. Hmm.
Also, with what you were saying, I have some language that I've built around this, which is like soul level emanation, soul
Hmm.
level radiance, right? It's like
Hmm.
if you have all of this like trauma conditioning around you, like conditioning
Yes.
and people telling you you're something that you're not, right? Or
Hmm.
society saying that you're something that you're not. We
Yeah.
have to like really pull back that fog from around us so that who we truly are has space to emanate. It's like a
Right.
sun being behind a cloudy sky, you know, and then the clouds move out and suddenly, woo, we're
Yes.
really bright and people can feel that and people can see that and people respond to that.
Exactly. They respond to that. Hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So in this relationship, it really brought me into a lot more radiance than I
Hmm.
even was expecting or I even knew was
Hmm.
possible. The feeling sensations I was having were so different from the early on experiences in my
Right.
life to include things like joy.
Hmm.
And that relationship, during that relationship, I was working on now my master's degree. So, my master's degree in marriage and family therapy. And, you know, though I'm still invested in psychology and counseling in this way, I'm also being brought very unexpectedly into like highly intuitive experiences, activations, things that are like unprecedented in my prior reality. I'm going
Hmm.
to bed at night and I would feel like I'm literally going to class every night because I'm like
Wow.
learning things every single night in my
Hmm.
dreams. It felt like at some point I wasn't even sleeping. Like I would go to
Hmm.
sleep, but I was just walking in another life and I was learning
Right.
and I was growing. And so I'm kind of navigating all of that simultaneously. And what I'm starting to find is that though I had been going to counselors throughout my life and up until these later on experiences, that it was just like I'm not getting met.
Yeah.
Not getting met fully. If I go to a counselor, I'm grateful for what they're able to offer, but oftentimes now, more often than not, what I'm receiving back is someone who can't see me,
Right.
someone who can't
Hmm.
meet me, someone who's not actually able to support me. I've
Yes.
gone deeper even than many people that now I'm trying to go and pursue help from. And
Hmm.
so it's becoming quite isolating and challenging the more I'm going along my
Right.
path. And so then I started seeking out other healing modalities that would be like energetic work and shamanic support. But then when I would go to those healers, I would find that they didn't have integrative support.
Hmm.
Like they weren't there to actually talk me through what I was going through, even
Right.
after I had an energetic, you know, whatever they're offering
Right.
energetic session or shamanic session with them. They're not, you know, working with relational things with me.
Hmm.
They're not offering like skills and communication and like how do I navigate this very real life thing. So
Right.
it seemed like these worlds were like far apart and
Hmm.
somehow like they really needed to be better brought together.
Hmm.
And so in the nearly the final hours of my master's degree, I left it. I walked away had already started my,
Hmm.
at the time I was calling it transformational coaching work. Now
Okay.
I'm a teacher seer. I'm a mentor for highly sensitive humans and intuitives. And so I had started this all because I was in a coaching container and the coach at that time was just inspiring. And I just had this thought, what if I did coaching instead of counseling? And the very next day I had 100 friend requests out of nowhere.
Wow.
And then for 14 days straight, I had 100 to 300 friend requests every single day. And I just like, look, I'm just going to take this as a sign,
Hmm.
start to offer my services. And so I started to do integrative support for clients that were working with a friend of mine who offered shamanic support, but there's no back end support. They get a
Mm.
shamanic soul retrieval and then they're out in the world. And I'd even watched my partner that I had these intuitive experiences with him
Mhm.
have something like that. And it brought him deeper into his own trauma. And he didn't have the tools to work with it. And I
Right.
saw him go further down than actually move into a place of progression.
Right. That's why they say there's certain dimensions. If you're not ready or equipped or have the right tools, you shouldn't even bother trying to get into, because all it does is bring people down further in a hole that's like you can't get out of.
Yeah, absolutely. So I saw the dangers and I wanted to be a solution. And I also have been like going to counselors, and then I found I feel like I can't go to any counselors anymore at this point. So I'm kind of like isolated in this way, and the work that I do is pretty deep. So you're really wanting some support, and so I saw this gap too, and working with clients. I was working with clients for about a year before I entered my residency, which is basically like you're at the end of your master's degree. You're now starting to work with people, and
Right.
you start by really observing. You get maybe like 1 to 2 minute moments with someone in your observation, and I just was baffled. Like, I didn't realize the quality of my work because I didn't have a point of comparison.
Right.
And I was watching as some of these counselors were looping with their clients. And I was recognizing, well, okay, there's a pattern here of codependency, which is not a healing paradigm.
Right.
And if you benefit financially from keeping someone in a state of victimhood,
Oh yeah, people would keep you there.
and it's paying your bills. And I was like, oh no, this is happening way more than I would have ever anticipated it. Now I'm seeing it. And I'm also recognizing that this does not happen inside of my framework. So seeing that kind of point of comparison was just, there were other factors here, but it was enough for me to be like, no, what I'm offering is so pure. It is so good. It is so full. It is so comprehensive. It can meet so many people. And if I choose to go down this counseling road, then just by way of like the legal, ethical kind of limitations inside of that profession, I'm not going to be able to work with clients in the way that I want to. I was literally receiving downloads of modalities, healing modalities, while I'm working on my master's degree. And I can't apply any of them because I'm supposed to only repeat what I'm given.
Yes.
Modalities that I'm given, phrases that I'm given. There's a lack of authenticity that for me is like core to who I am. Also, the way that I work is not really with questions. I ask questions, but that's not where I come from because I am naturally so intuitive, empathic, that that's how I receive information. Then I ask a question. So to start with just questions didn't really work for like what I'm made for.
Right.
So with all of that, it was like, okay, I'm leaving and I'm going to do what I do, and I'm going to do it to the very best of my capability. Now, when we start to move into like a coaching paradigm, people have some difficulties with that because it's not regulated in the way that counseling is. And I can see pluses and minuses on both sides, and trust that regulations don't always make the quality of work better.
No.
It doesn't. And, it's like kind of like how we treat nurses. We are like, okay, you're going into a healing paradigm. We're going to work you to the core, to the point where you have nothing left to give. And then we're going to say that you need to give more. That's very much so what the counseling paradigm has become, because people get paid off of your hours and your free work, which you do for a very long time. And so again, like for me and my foundations and in my business, it's very important to have like the most solid, pure, clean, integrity aligned foundations that I can. And from there, I provide my services. And so, not everyone's going to do that in the counseling profession. Not everyone's going to do that in the coaching profession. And I'm here to fill the gap. I'm here to be the practitioner that people really, really need, like that you like crave for when you're inside of the down. And I don't have anyone to even share this experience with. And when you're intuitive and you feel like I can't tell anyone this, they're not even going to believe what I'm sharing, or they're not going to be able to see to the degree that I can see in this way. And so, I knew that there was going to be that gap there. And if I didn't fill it, it was going to be just as big as it ever was, if not growing even bigger. So I left in order to fill that gap, and I am so grateful I did.
Okay, so as you went through each of these different counselors and you found that they were good to a point, but then you realized you needed to move on. Explain that in the sense of the healing that you were seeking, because as you go into each of these people, there are layers, right? That have to be stripped that you're going through. At what point can you say that your true healing happened? Because in order that you want to go beyond each of these different modalities and all the different things that the layers that you were going through, and to the point to feel like, you know what, they can't help me any further than this, right? And now I would like to pour back what I've learned and all the modalities were downloaded and all the things that you have done as you are going through them and these layers were being revealed unto you. Is this each one of those layers like a healing point? Let's say that, aha, this is what worked for me. Because sometimes it's like someone is giving you guidance or they're teaching something, right? And you picked up something that they didn't realize in the method that they were teaching or they missed, but you picked up from it. You know what, I can use this because look, there's the revelation I got from this. You didn't say it, but here's what I picked up just because you started along this transition or this means, right? So where in all of this did your healing come to aha? Because you talk about the layers, it's from 14 until when did you stop seeing someone?
Mm, yeah, so I went to a counselor who also had a shamanic background because I
Hmm.
was like, okay, I could find someone who is merging these worlds.
Right.
And this was when I was in this relationship with this, what I call like a cosmic partnership. So
Hmm.
the intuitive experiences that I was having. And I haven't mentioned this, but he ended up being highly dissociative. Like, if we look at this now, they would call it DID, dissociative identity disorder, previously
Hmm.
known as multiple personality disorder.
Uh-huh.
And this is kind of where I also feel like psychology is lacking because they want it to be so black and white. There isn't
Right.
as much of a
There is no.
right. It's like you're diagnosed as this because you're at this extreme or you're not and you don't have it. It's like,
Hmm.
whoa, that's actually not
Yeah.
accurate.
Hmm.
So with this person, we were together for 9 months. It was amazing, like heavenly. I'm like, this has got to be my person. This man is
Right. You think you've met your soulmate.
right. Like it was magical, the whole thing. And then it started being somewhere around like 9 to 12 months. I've started just noticing like things that were kind of different than before shifting, and I couldn't quite understand what was going on. Then I started to become way more cognizant as I was just being with him. Like, wait
Hmm.
a second. This man's eyes change, his posture changes, his voice changes, his memory changes.
Changes. Wow.
He can't remember our last 9 months.
Wow.
Okay, whoa. I love this man. I mean, like, I loved this man. And so
Hmm.
I really
Hmm.
wanted to be with him. And I also wasn't familiar with DID at this point in time. So we had a period where we separated for a few months. And during that time, I just happened to be working on a research paper under my master's degree on dissociation. And
Hmm.
while that's happening, I'm receiving downloads about dissociation. And so I'm literally understanding
Seeing.
the science
Hmm.
point, and then I'm understanding a spiritual nature of it that's not taught anywhere. And
Hmm.
I'm receiving all of these modalities and things to help him inside of this process. So we come back together just around the work. I said, the only way I'll come back around is just for the work.
Right.
And so I started to, be in this process of working with him in that. He comes back online. Okay, he's a man that I fell in love with. And it's about the same thing. It's about 9 months. Whoop. Memories are gone. Posture is different. Voice is different.
Wow.
And then I started having the experience of like, oh, he's him today. Oh, tomorrow morning he's not. Oh, he's
Hmm.
him. And it was flipping. It was a very traumatic and grief-filled process to be inside of. And it was
Hmm.
also stopping grounds for a lot of learning, like lived
Right.
experience and learning. So I was like, we need a third party. Like,
Yeah.
we need a third party. So I found this counselor that was local that also had this shamanic background. And she tried to gaslight me. and tell me that that it wasn't that. She was not I was the only person living this experience. My partner can't remember the experiences.
And
I'm
you telling her what you're seeing and experiencing, and she's
yes.
telling you it isn't what you think.
Exactly. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I'm already in a relationship that naturally creates its own gaslight, because if your partner doesn't remember yesterday,
Exactly.
they're going to gaslight you, not even trying. And
Yes.
now going to you as a third party, and you are siding and aligning with the person who is having this experience and not me.
Right.
Who is telling you this is what the experience is. And I really want my partner to receive the help that he really, really needs.
Right.
So that was the final straw for me with counseling, because I had tried to find something that merged the worlds, and I thought that was possible at that time. And I ended up finding that the things that I was offering to him, the things that I was downloading, were far more beneficial than any session we had been in the entire time. Like, he even had one-on-one counseling. It didn't even come close to even like a single couple hours that we would have together when I was providing him with support. So this definitely is a part of that transition of going, okay, no, I need to be the way, because I am the thing.
Right.
And I need to offer it in full. Like, but before I could do that, I needed to know that my work was what it was.
Right.
And I didn't have that outside perspective.
Right. And now that you have, so how long have you now run this practice?
I've been doing this work since 2018 professionally, right? I think many of us have the periods of time where we're like offering our services and we're not like putting it under.
Everyone does that. You do it first and for maybe a year or 2 or 3. And then finally, when you feel you've had enough testimonials, you have enough proofs, to go through, and now you can build based on each of these experiences and professionally guide. And through your professional experience, right, you have come across individuals too who had come from the dysfunction that you came out of. So now you can help guide them along in the journey. So how has that been, now that you've turned your pain into purpose? How has that helped your clients?
I actually find it like so wild how myself and my clients move, including in similar early on experiences or things that are happening concurrently. So I say that like I'm on the leading edge of evolution. Like, I really work with highly advanced humans. Highly sensitive people are also highly perceptive, and that leads into a lot of genius. So I work with like geniuses. And these people are people who they have their own gap of not being met because they're so advanced. And it is like, I can't even tell you like the sensations of my heart and how amazing I feel when I step out of a session, having met someone that for years and years and years, maybe even since their early on experience, has never actually been met and never even thought someone could come into their life that could truly support them. So there's the level of soul level attunement that I bring, because I can really see you. I can really feel you. Like, highly sensitive people typically tend to be somatic. They can feel energy. And so you can feel being seen at that level. And it really is like water for the soul. I watch people's eyes be like, it's like literally their light in the radiance starts coming out of their eyes and seeping out of their skin. Now, I'm not saying that this is like easy work. It's not. Like, whenever we even receive like a soul level reflection, if we have had any conditioning, anything that's illusionary on top of that, suddenly that comes into the light too. And we have to be with whatever that is. So, because
we all live in some sort of illusion until we awaken from that place to realize, why was I in this place for such a long time? For example, I can use like from my childhood, when someone said, "Oh, how old were you when you first experienced trauma?" Right? For me, I feel like I've always been in trauma, right? I go back to even from being in my mother's womb to know that things were happening, So, and then when reality sets in and things are happening, I'm realizing, And I remember I would go back and I would tell my mom things. I said, but for me, I thought it was dreams, right? And I would say it. They said, no, that really happened for real. You were just a baby. You were just 9 months, or you were just a year old, and things keep coming back to me, right? I've gone places, met people, before I even actually meet them in person, had experiences before I actually met people, but it was hard to explain. I saw you, I met you before, all of these things. It's hard to explain that to someone who doesn't understand, right? But these are all the experiences, and every day I'm evolving and I'm learning even more so, and I would talk to people, and you move in discernment, all right? We move in discernment, and that it is not intuition, okay? Because you have discernment to see, to hear, to smell, to touch, to be heightened in those areas and be aware of how things are moving, right? So you're not caught unawares. So for me, it was like after a while, I let go of who I was, right? Into a marriage to be what he wanted me to be. And I realized I did that for 18 years.
Mm.
I was not who I should be. And then when I woke up from that, it was just like, wow. I felt like that whole time it's beyond existing. It was like I was in I call it like a zombified state of moving, operating, but I was not fully into my reality of who I am. Understand? Because we live this illusion, right? We give, we do, and we don't realize we're giving all of our powers, to people to the point that we don't have anything. And now I'm relying on you to tell me how I should feel. You see what I'm saying? And so as a result, once that happened, I was like, oh my God, why did I stay in this place? Why? How did I get into this? And why? And I look back and like, when did it happen? But it's like we give up. And when you come from a trauma and you deal with somebody who was in narcissism and they continue that way, and a lot of things came to me. And I realized, wow, the control, the power, the manipulation. I was unaware. It's like I was blind. Why didn't I say this? You understand? And then boom, you wake up one day. And it wasn't like waking up like I was asleep and I woke up. It's like you just wake up. You could be in 3 a.m. in the afternoon, and it's like all of a sudden you're awake. Like, what life? What was I doing? And all of these experiences, like, hold on, you know, that's not who I am. And so now you want to get your power back. And this is what I always encourage people. The first step, of course, is realizing that something is wrong. Stop believing the lies, okay, that are created. All right. The things people are telling you that is not good about you actually are your best features, you know, and they're just trying to dumb that down to make you feel like, nope, nobody wants you, nobody want to be around you, nobody want to talk to you. But trauma, there are so many levels of trauma. Even giving somebody your power that they can control you, that is traumatic in itself. All right. So as we are closing on this segment, let's talk about that power that we relinquish. And now when we get it back, what do we do with it? What do we do? Do I continue? Do I heal? What am I doing? Because some people stay stuck. I'm out, but where am I going? What am I doing? Right? Some would go like you, continue helping each other so other people can heal. But what I discover is while you have other people heal and they have new revelation, you too are learning. You too are evolving. It is just a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. So I'd like to just briefly mention this when you were saying, and we've talked about this a little bit throughout, of like being in the environment that ultimately suppresses us. Like if we're in an environment and it's attempting to disempower us, then our soul is going to be like, I'm not actually welcome here. I don't feel like I can come out here. And then it traps us in the illusion. So we're like going, down and small rather than wide and open, which is what it's like when you're radiating from your core and from your power.
Indeed.
So when I am in session with someone, I'm offering the safe space where I am such a radiant, large container that they are there knowing I'm not there to compete with their power. I'm not there to suppress them. I'm going to call them into their power.
Yeah.
I'm going to call them into their expression. So much of this too, when we go like this, it like literally cuts off our throat. We're not speaking powerfully. We're not speaking truthfully, even to ourselves, which is
Indeed.
why we stay in that kind of gaslit, conditioned place. So I work with people, yes, that are highly intuitive, but this is so comprehensive, right? Like I'm literally calling you in to speaking unobstructedly your truth, to expressing who you really are with full permission.
Yeah.
To also engage in your boundaries. Like if we are an intuitive human and there are people who are here that are like, ooh, I really like that. I really like to feed off that one. You know, then we have to learn about, we have to grow our discernment, as you mentioned, right? We have to be able to identify things like the control, the manipulation, the deflection, the things that are there to intentionally suppress us and feast from us. We also have to learn about energetic boundaries, not just like relational boundaries, but also the energetic component of boundaries as well. So it's like comprehensive from the seen to the unseen, all of these multi-layers to be with. And then there's also the layers that are ancestral, the layers that are personal, the layers that are prior lifetime, that are this lifetime. I mean, we have so much to be with, right? Like there's a lot to be with. And so in order to really be with that level of conditioning, programming, ancestral, genetic stuff, like all of the many things that we're inheriting just by being human. Then we also have to have this space where we can heal, where we can feel, where we can be in our power and not feel like we're going to war.
That's it.
Right. So this is the space that I hold, that I invite people into, you know, that I'm like really curating as the space where you can do any and all of the work that you ultimately need to. And as you said, there's revelations that person's having, and there's revelations that I have. I don't just say I'm on the leading edge of evolution. I am. It's because every single time I'm called into something to include natural initiations and activations, I say yes, and I go. And I do it because I know I'm forging pathways, and the next person behind me has a little bit more room.
More room. So as we are closing, what would you tell someone who is still in that illusion? They need, like, I hear you, but I don't seem like I can get out. What would you say to that person? Like, I hear you. It's all good. I'm watching. I hear you. I need help. Like their soul is screaming, I need help. How do I get out? How do I come out of this? First of all, self, right? Because to come out of anything, you have to realize, have a self realization and evaluation before you can leave any environment, right? So what do you say to this person?
Create the space and don't go out, go in. So what I'm meaning by that is creating the space, like what I'm saying I hold for people, right? Find an environment that feels very spacious to you. This might be something like nature. Nature's amazing for that. And then when you're in nature, attempt to go in and down and into your center as much as you can. Now, this is not necessarily an easy process because we go past the mind, and the mind has a lot to say, and the conditioning is held in the mind. So much of it is there. So if you start hearing a little bit of extra chatter, that's normal. And then just keep calling yourself down through your breath and into your body and into your center, because at your center are the codes of truth. They're the keys to liberate your soul. I promise they live inside of you. And so it's like going below the veil and the things that are feeling like you're so stuck, and entering into a space that will lead and guide you with love and wisdom and truth, that will hold you in the very best way possible, and also offer you the courage to take the steps once you hear and receive those awarenesses.
Wow. Thank you so much. So, for those who say you are in tune, you want to go by the beach, you want to sit just by a pool, whatever it is that it's your calming place, that space that relaxes you, that space that allows you to think. Maybe it's just being in a library and you're just sitting in the background. Maybe it's just being on the canopy, being on your porch, whatever that space is for you that brings that peace. That's the pace that you want to be for this healing to happen. You got to turn off the noise, right? The noise will distract you, and before you know it, you're trapped in the noise. Don't stay trapped into the noise, right? So I thank you so much, Ashtyn. We will have all Ashtyn's information here so you can connect with her. Like I said, we have many guests that come on this platform, and I pray that you find someone that you can relate to, someone you can say, you know what, that's the person. I think this person, she's got me. She's got exactly what I need in order to reach them, because what we're looking for is for you to be healed, all right? Totally healed and healed for real. See, I'm not talking about the superficial, all right? I am going deeper into the spiritual realm for you to be healing, because you are not this encasement. You are beyond this, all right? And what you have allowed, or the powers that you have given away, all right, it's time to get it back and get the remote, right? Get the remote back in your hand and control. Press the channels that you want instead of having someone else do that. So, Ashtyn, I thank you so much for being here on Emerge and Empower. Like I said, no guest is ever a one-timer. There will be follow-ups, and based on your responses and demands as well, so we can bring her back and have Q&As where you can be in live sessions and you can communicate with her. So this is what this platform is about. And I pray that you got some realization today, your eyes open, all right, your soul open to receive what has been said here on today. So, Ashtyn, I thank you so much for being on Emerge and Empower. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and bye-bye. Hey everyone. So you heard the segment as we had Ashtyn on, and she was talking about the light that is within. And that light, I identify that light as healing. Because once healing and realization has come in that enough is enough and you've allowed so much to happen, this is the time to make the decision to leave the situation or to allow the healing to come within. And now, when we talk about the light within in a biblical connection, we see John 1 4 through 5 that says, in him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shined in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not, right? But when we go to Ephesians 5 and 8, where it says, for you were sometimes darkness, but now are ye in light in the Lord. Walk as children of the light, okay? Walk as children of the light. The light within is not just a personal comfort, it is called to transformation, turning away from works of darkness and bearing the fruit of righteousness. Allow healing to begin within you. All right. Everything that was around you that was trying to smother you, to make you small, to keep you in a cramped space. Okay, God created you to live and to be free. We are tied up by bondage, barriers, generational, ancestral, things that are transferred in the bloodline spiritually and physically. But guess what? Once you come into the truth and the realization of this, that's why we also have the text that says, greater is he that is within you than he that is within the world. Connect with the truth that is in you and allow this healing to truly happen. So this is what I wanted to add here so we can understand that the healing that you seek, the changes that you seek, all right, are within. It starts with the decision in your life to say, now is the time. Enough is enough. You got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. You got to be sick and tired of holding on to the secret. You got to be sick and tired of it all and say, you know what? That's it. I'm done. Enough is enough. and evolve. Move away from. Sometimes you literally have to change your environment. But in the meantime, seek those quiet places that allows you to internalize, allow you to go into yourself and renew. All right, until you can truly come out of that environment. Well, again, this has been a segment with Dr. Lynn J here on Emergent Power. See you next week. God bless. Bye bye.